everyone, and welcome to our Vistatec Life Sciences in Focus podcast. Fascinating conversations with global life sciences experts. This is a space where we interview life sciences experts once a month, and I'm your host today, María Mateos. Today, I'm very excited with the guest we have, Jonathan Gardow. He's the Vice President of Business Development at FOMAT Medical Research. He focuses on developing partnerships and making clinical trials more accessible for patients. And Jonathan, thank you so much for making the time to meet with me today. I know you're attending a CRS conference, so thank you.
That's okay. It's great to speak with you again. I know prior to SCRS, the last time we spoke was, I think it was DIA, and we bonded over it was DIA. We bonded over some of the hurdles to increasing Hispanic trust and participation in clinical research, given your location, we're half of our location, and given that we have a very large Hispanic patient population. So it's good to reconnect and chat with you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we had a lot of fun too.
Yes,
So
yes.
that was great.
Conferences are work hard, play hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jonathan, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about FOMAT and your role there?
Yeah, sure. So I'm FOMAT's Vice President of Business Development and Site Activation. Been working in clinical research for probably the past decade and a half, I think, in various capacities. I joined FOMAT a little over a year ago to lead our commercial efforts. And then before FOMAT, I founded an organization that worked to identify experienced and even naive physicians for the purposes of bringing them into clinical research. As you know, and most people will know on this podcast, there is a shortage of doctors and participants in clinical research. So we're attempting to bridge that gap with our unique model. But I've also been involved with clinical payments organizations. That was for the purposes of easing reimbursements directly to patients, so their subject stipends, and then helping sites collect research funds in a more efficient and expeditious manner. So for the past, again, 14, 15 years, I've played a number of different roles within clinical research and been lucky enough to understand how the interconnecting pieces come together to create a great patient journey.
That's fantastic, and thank you for sharing that. And speaking of the model you have in place these days with FOMAT, I know you call it Embedded Research Organization. Would you like to tell us a little bit more and what this mean in practice, maybe?
Yeah, so this is obviously my favorite topic as being head of sales for the organization. I talk about this on a daily basis. So FOMAT is an ERO. I don't know if the individuals that will be listening to this are familiar with that concept. The model has been around for a long time. We were one of the pioneering members of this type of model here. ERO stands for Embedded Research Organization. And if people are unfamiliar with that acronym, I can extrapolate a little bit further later on as well here. But I want to talk about FOMAT first. So we operate 25 sites from South San Francisco all the way down to Los Angeles. So while 6 or 7 of our sites, I think, are classified as family and general medicine, a high concentration of our sites and physicians are specialized in their field. So cardiologists, nephrologists, GI, metabolic, and endocrine. We actually just signed a very large vascular surgery center we're very excited about. They have 3 lead physicians on premises, highly interested in research. But we have a focus in almost every therapeutic area. My specific role at FOMAT, the way that I view it, is essentially twofold. One is to design a strategy that aligns our capabilities to the current and future needs of our CRO partners, to be able to identify trends in research, understand where we're going, understand what research is being funded, to ensure we have adequate PI coverage on deck and the patients to be able to support those studies and accommodate expanded research initiatives. The second focus that I believe that I have here at FOMAT is to lead the activities of my team, which includes business development efforts, feasibility, all the way up to site activation. And very importantly, expand our presence with existing and new therapeutic areas in the space. So it keeps me busy. There's a lot going on. I have dotted line responsibilities also to budgets and contracts. I work very closely with patient recruitment to understand what our capabilities are. But if you think of a site, there needs to be very, very strong cross collaboration between all the divisions. Because if we sell a study, our head of patient recruitment doesn't believe we can recruit for, we're really setting everyone up for failure. So we're very, very close to ensuring that all of our divisions are closely linked.
Yeah, yeah, cross collaboration and communication across teams. That's the key to succeed, I guess. And you said busy. Busy is good. We love busy. Who
This
doesn't, right?
this I don't know what's going on. We've been very, very blessed. This week has gone crazy. Maybe the kids are back to school. Summer's over, vacations are over. I don't know what it is, but we've seen just this tremendous uptick in feasibility volume and study award volume. My poor head of feasibility, who also works on our PSVs, is drowning right now with what we've got going on.
Well, yeah, no, I know the feeling, but I kind of like it. So in your experience, what are the most important factors in building trust with these diverse patient populations you work with?
Another great question. And if I might, I want to talk a little bit more about FOMAT as well. And I think that'll kind of lead into that. So we already talked about the concept of an ERO, an embedded research organization. To extrapolate the traditional site model that's been around for so long, um, this is going to be a crude description of it, but it is what it is. You're going to walk into you're going to hear about a study on the radio, on TV, or something. You're going to walk into an unfamiliar building where you're greeted by unknown personnel, and here's the crude part: you're going to get something put into you or something taken out of you. It just is what it is. Um, the traditional site model, while good and has existed for a long, long time, I believe we can better that, and we can better that for the betterment of the patients. So, our founder, who's been a practicing physician for over 40 years, wanted to figure out a way to bring research to the patients and into the community. And to do that, he needed to identify doctors that were like minded, maybe a little bit altruistic, and believed that we could advance medicine in ways that the traditional site model could not. So, FOMAT has been born. We've now expanded to over 50 community physicians, again, all the way from South San Francisco all the way down to Los Angeles. The power of our site network is the fact that some of our patients, I shouldn't say some, even most of our patients, these are their primary care providers. They have been seeing these doctors for 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years to get chronic diseases under control. Maybe there's no treatment on the market that can help solve what they have, from psoriasis all the way to chronic kidney disease. So the way we embed research into physicians' offices inherently delivers trust to patients and has been proven to increase study engagement. I'm sorry, patient engagement and patient recruitment. Because when they're going into a physician office, and maybe I'm giving away some secret sauce here, so
Like that.
when they're going into a physician
Keep
office,
going.
it's almost like a cheat code because friend and doctor may not be synonymous, but once you've talked to someone and established a relationship with them for so many years, if they make a recommendation or a suggestion, it's going to carry more weight than it is if you meet someone for the first time. So when our patients are walking into our clinics and they're talking to a doctor they've known for that long, that doctor then can say, "Hey, patient A, have you ever thought about enrolling in a clinical study for X? Pick X disease, whatever that is." And the patient inevitably is going to say no, especially a lot of our patient populations. They don't sit on LinkedIn, they don't sit on YouTube, they don't know about studies. So their first introduction to a clinical study at any point could come from their doctors. And the model has been proven to increase engagement, not only at the initial stance, but also to retain these patients longer. We were on a phase one obesity study to where we had a 100% enrollment, and I think it was like 94, 95, 96%, high 90s retention, which obesity is one of the highest dropout rates due to frustration and many other factors. in any other clinical study.
Yeah, and that's huge. That's a huge number. And I guess you're absolutely right. Trusting your doctor who you've been seeing for years, you trust them, so you don't have a single doubt that they are recommending the best thing for you, the best treatment, the best option, and keeping them informed, right?
Yeah.
Like what's new out there, what's the best treatment for you. And hey, there are new treatments almost every week, every month these days. So that's
Yeah.
exciting too.
Yeah. And then,
Um,
another thing you had mentioned, Maria, which actually takes us back to our conversation that we had at DIA regarding increasing diverse representation in clinical studies. So FOMAT biometrics, forgive me, my team, if I recite this incorrectly. Um, in clinical research and consensus, the majority of clinical research participation is Caucasian. And I think it's like 70, let's just call it like 75% for using easy metrics. In FOMAT,
yeah,
that number's completely reversed. If you look across, and by the way, we do link to every one of our doctors' EMRs. So when we're responding to sponsors and CROs on feasibility questionnaires, we're not pulling numbers out of thin air. That's directly coming from our doctors' EMRs. Now we do have, we have whole patient recruitment teams. We have community engagements. We could reach out to other vendors, and we have, multiple sources for recruitment. But I think 91% of our enrolled patients come directly from our doctors' EMRs. And the importance of working with patients through EMRs, through diverse communities, is because it's just human nature to want to work with people that speak your language, understand the problems that you have, look like you, sound like you, act like you, right? And
absolutely.
beyond the 74 point some percent diversity metric that FOMAT enrolls, 53% of those individuals come from the Hispanic community, right? And
Wow.
many of our doctors are Hispanic themselves. So when we're talking about diversity, when we're talking about trust, we believe that our model is inherently built to enroll a subset of the United States population that is traditionally overlooked, and in a lot of cases underserved. A lot of our sites are in what would be classified as healthcare deserts. There's very few physicians around, no large hospital institutions. So in some instances, clinical research can be that standard of care.
Yeah, and promoting all that to reach those populations and make sure that every patient receives the treatment they need. That's amazing. And well, speaking your language,
Yeah.
that's music to my ears, and you know it.
Well,
You
it's
work with
it's
Spanish
awareness.
population.
Sorry, I was speaking over there. I'm getting energetic and enthusiastic because I believe our model is so strong. It's all about awareness, trust, and follow through. That's the key. That's the key, especially when you're attempting to reach uh, diverse patient populations that are historically have been untrusting of
Yeah.
a clinical study for whatever reasons, history, existing experiences, culture. We have to have awareness, trust, and follow through.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more there. And I'm absolutely impressed with your numbers, the not just the recruitment, but the engagement. And here's another hot topic that we are talking a lot these days, and that's AI. I know AI is being used in patient recruitment. So I'm wondering, how is AI applied in your work, if applied? And how does that work?
It is, and I can't give away all of our secret sauce. However, I would say that FOMAT is classified as an early adopter of AI and what it can do for us. We have piloted and tested AI in a lot of different facets of our day to day, all the way from feasibility, all the way to finance. In this specific matter of what you're talking about at the moment, patient recruitment, because what we've known, and we actually won a patient centricity award at the conference I'm at right now, at SCRS last year, for our work with integrating AI and how we can respond to our patients faster. Forgive me, team, when you listen to this. I can't remember the exact metric that we listed on the award for last year, but with us adopting AI in patient recruitment, this goes back to trust. And I'm going to give you a real world example. If you reach out to any organization for any reason, well, you could be buying a couch, you could trying to get someone to change an account on a credit card, doesn't matter. If you reach out to anyone and leave a voice message and you don't hear back from them for 3 days, you've done one or two things. You've either lost interest or you found another provider.
Absolutely. And 3 days, sometimes you're lucky if it's 3 days, right?
We can, in a world where every patient matters, right? In a world where every patient matters, we cannot wait 3 days to respond to a patient. So we've been able to adopt AI to ensure that whoever reaches out to us for participation in a study, is hearing from us immediately. And it's very important for me to say this: AI does not replace the human touch that FOMAT offers. It simply augments. We have a very robust patient recruitment team, but the reality is time is finite. And if we have a large, we run registry studies, obesity studies, where some of these studies, there's a large bolus, if you will, of interest right when the study is starting, when there's activation. Our patient recruitment team only has so much time in the day. AI has been able to augment our team's already fantastic abilities and reach out to patients within minutes. And the system says, it even announces itself as AI. It says, I'm FOMAT's AI. I'm here to help you gather some very brief information. This also helps us in pre-screening activities. It's gaining information quickly, delivering that to our patient recruitment teams, and allowing them to follow up faster. But most importantly, it allows the patient to know that they've been heard. If people
Oh,
are not
yes.
heard, they will not care. It's just the
Yes,
hard
and
fact of it.
apart from that, I'm thinking on top of my head, the person who is responding to that message, like following up to the AI response, has a lot of information to follow up properly to give that patient the level of care and understanding that they need.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll even go one step further here, because we have a number of tools in place at the moment, and we're always testing out new ones. Our IT team is absolutely fantastic. But one really great thing about one of the AI products that we're piloting at the moment is it's intuitive. It's intuitive enough to change quickly into any language. Man, we could tell it to be man, woman, languages. We could tell it, I mean, we don't do this, but we could tell it to be happy. We could tell it to be sad. It'll change its inflection. But specifically as it relates to diverse patient representation, if someone only speaks Hispanic and we put millions upon millions of dollars into patient recruitment efforts that only communicated English,
Yeah,
like
you're missing that
what a
patient, and
waste of
that
time and
patient,
money.
yeah, yeah. You're missing that patient, and that patient is not receiving the care they were expecting. So,
Yeah.
yeah, delighted to hear that. And so that's a recruitment, but retention is another challenge. So what you can tell us about that part of the process? What are the biggest like challenges they are to keep patients engaged through the full length of the study? You have
Yeah.
a great retention rate, so hey, tell us your secret up to the
Yeah.
point you can.
Absolutely. Retention is one of the hardest things personally that I could think of how to solve. And the reason being is because I think retention brings in the most human emotion that you could possibly find, almost possibly find in a clinical study. I know there's a lot of terminal illness out there. There's oncology out there, which is a whole another form of human emotion. But when you talk about retention, especially obesity, like take obesity, for instance, it's a hot topic right now in the industry. Some of these individuals have tried so many medications, maybe they've been enrolled in 4 other trials, and the drug has done nothing for them. And what happens is when you constantly try something and it doesn't work, you're going to give up faster and faster on each subsequent study or whatever that action or interaction is. So obesity is particularly challenging, but in reality, I go back to our research model, which is trust. Um, and I'm never going to sit here and insinuate that, a patient has gone to one of our CRCs or even the lead PI at the time and said, listen, it's not working. I don't want to do this. Or maybe they're on placebo and they're not seeing something um, meaningful. Their indication is not getting better. Again, we believe that level of trust that's built in at our doctor and PI level, and our doctors are educated on this as well. Say, listen, there's going to be a lot of times a patient's going to come to you and want to drop out. The education that we give to them is how meaningful and impactful it is to remain in this study, whether you're on placebo. Obviously patients don't know if they're on treatment, on placebo. Um, I would say sites need to find a way to bridge that emotional gap to be able to retain these patients. Now, there's all man life happens. If let's just say it's a single parent and they have to get their kid to soccer practice, and there's all these other things going on. They just can't do it. Some studies can have an aggressive visit schedule, especially we have three pediatricians. Pediatric studies can be particularly difficult to retain
Yeah.
subjects in. Um, as a parent myself, it's heartbreaking when you see your child in pain. So if it's a
Yeah.
vaccine study and you got to go in and you got to see your kid poked 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah. Plus, something we've seen on our side of the business is also communicating with pediatric patients, how to approach them, how to explain them what they are going to be going through and what the study is like, what is going to happen next. It's challenging too. So, congrats on keeping those patients engaged.
We do our best, and we have robust outreach campaigns. Our CRCs are very, very good at keeping up communication. Again, I go back to that example of if there isn't constant communication and if someone isn't fully understanding in whatever process they're in, they're going to lose interest. They're going to get frustrated. Our CRCs are constantly doing outreach and ensuring that our patients, or at least I should say, the patient journey, is as pleasant as it could possibly be, given some of the items that these individuals have to endure.
Thank you for sharing that, Jonathan. And I know FOMAT is well known for engaging with communities directly. I guess our audience maybe like to hear some examples from you of these events or these outreach programs that have been impactful. Um, how have these helped amplify this impact?
Yeah. So we always try to ingrain ourselves in the community. Again, if I'm going to sit here and tell you that we have 25, 26 sites in California, I have to also talk about, and their community sites again, I have to also talk about how we're working with the community. We do a number of different engagements, specifically with the Hispanic community in the California area to raise awareness. But even all of us individually are always attempting to do things on our own to bring awareness. For instance, I just completed a 5K for Alzheimer's research. And then I know I'm the runner.
That's exciting.
I know I love running. And also that same day was, if you're familiar with, just disclaimer, I'm in no way, shape, or form reimbursed by them in whatever way, but they've got a great mission statement. So Children's Flight of Hope, they just did Hops for Hope, and obviously their organization is integral to getting children to wherever they are, to large hospital systems in any area that can help improve their way of life, help their indication, they're in a specific therapeutic area. Glioblastoma is a big thing. It's for a lot of kids that are facing serious and even rare, and even in some cases terminal conditions. So I encourage you to look them up. But from our CEO all the way down, he's always encouraged us to be active in the community, whether it's a charitable event, whether it's getting the word out, but basically kind of practicing what we preach. If we're going to sit here and say we want to serve underrepresented communities and individuals that really need it, and again, I go back to clinical research sometimes as a standard of care, we all have to be out in the community, not just our patient recruitment team, every single one of us.
Yeah, you need to understand when you work with a sponsor, design the study, you need to fully understand that community and how they feel, how their lifestyle is, and even their language. So next time we're speaking in Spanish.
Yeah.
How about that?
I try and do it. I just do it very poorly. Everyone in my company, they call me Spanglish.
Hey, you try. That's a lot.
I took it for years and years and years. I wish I kept going with it. I promise I'm going to get on Duolingo one of these days. It's just time. Time is an enemy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Kia, as we start coming into an end here, and I'm looking into the future now, and the future specifically of clinical research. So I'm wondering, what do you see as the biggest opportunity and maybe even the biggest risk when it comes to engaging these diverse patients and ensuring equity in access to clinical trials? That's a huge challenge these days. How do you see that in the future?
No doubts. But before I mention that, one thing I actually neglected to talk about pertaining to community engagement. And I'm going to give you guys a plug here. For every single translation company out there or anyone that does translations, can we please get Spanish translated ICF and other study documentation under 10 years? Like here's the reason here's the reason I say this. Um, I'm gonna I've talked about our diverse patient population so much, so let me just peel off that for a second. But it matters for this concept. If 54% of our patient population through all of our 25, 26 sites are Hispanic, and many don't, speak English or know the English written, we have to have we have to have our
Yeah.
documentation in Spanish. And in a competitive enrollment situation, when there could be hundreds of sites on a study, if we don't have the Spanish translation as soon as possible, we can't consent patients, we can't move them forward, and we lose out on patients. Um, and then I'm going to go back to answering your last question here, Maria. But
Yeah, and we're going to take that conversation offline. Absolutely, we're taking that conversation offline about the turnaround times. But let me tell you that yes, that's a key point. You want them not just to fully understand what they are reading and understanding
yeah,
the process and what they are going through, but also to feel acknowledged. Like you understand that they speak another language and you acknowledge that they are noted and they are taken care of.
yes. So if there's any translation companies out there that happen to do this, uh, some of us some of us sites are praying that we could speed that process up.
Yeah, let's take that conversation offline, so we don't get our audience bored with all that.
But let me go back to what you asked before.
Yeah,
Some of the biggest opportunities, biggest risks, and I'm going to remain. I'm going to do everything I can to remain not political on this. The biggest opportunity when I years and years ago when I was selling subject reimbursements, basically figuring out a way. It all goes back. Everything is about the patient. Literally everything is about the patient. If you don't have the patient, you don't have anything.
yeah,
And we were always talking about through subject reimbursements, whatever we can do to make the clinical study more enjoyable, we need to do. And in that instance, at that time, it was near immediate reimbursement within minutes. They can take that stipend and buy a toy for their kid. They can buy groceries, whatever. It doesn't matter. Um, I have not seen such loud voices as of late speaking about the importance of the patient. And there could be a myriad of factors around that. Clinical research and drug development in general exists right now at a very unique time where there's research funding hasn't been so robust. private equities holding on to money because, they're a little bit nervous to see where we're going to go. So there has been a little bit of a slowdown. But I would really like to the biggest opportunity for me is to return to a way to increase knowledge and education about the benefits of clinical research. I believe that when, you know, even me, like I have terrible allergies. I mean, I got immunotherapy shots for years and years and years, but the pollen in North Carolina it's vicious, and my body finally stopped reacting to it. But even me, I was always telling myself, if there was an allergist close to me, and I could, and my physiology and my biology could help someone out, I would join in that too. But I just think the biggest opportunity is to return to the patient, and there's plenty of fantastic other organizations out there that's looking to make it. I won't name any other specific names, but specifically, one organization is creating toys specifically for children, and if he hears this, he'll probably know that I'm talking about him.
Yeah,
Creating toys for children to
they
educate
are
them,
amazing.
yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Um,
Yeah,
there's another organization out there that is starting to create a nationwide 5K running campaign to increase awareness for clinical studies. Um, any of those organizations, we need to start funding. We need
yeah,
to start funding because I think if you just come to FOMAT, if you go to any other site, it can be a scary undertaking. But when you start bringing in everyday human activities like weekend races, toys, things you can put on a jacket, all of these cool things that these books, there's organizations out there that are writing books specifically for
yeah,
children. I kind of, I don't know what I'm discussing right now is a very pediatric bent, but
yeah.
there's plenty of organizations that I'm still probably missing. We need to focus on, I'm going long here, Maria. We need to focus more on the patient. We need to focus on the
Yeah, no, I agree. And sometimes it's not just about getting creative and invest from your company, but looking out there and see what everyone else is doing and see, hey, find companies that can get you a therapeutic companion for children, toys that can accompany that process. And you partner with those companies and you create a beautiful solution. So yeah,
yeah.
patient in the center, couldn't agree more.
As far as risks go, honestly, my opportunity is the same as the risk. If we don't focus on the patient, nobody will enter into clinical research, and
Yeah.
drug development ceases to exist. I have another risk that I fear may lead us down a dangerous path, but I'd like to encourage the industry to not follow trends of what's going on. We still need to be focusing on what we need to focus on. And with some existing changes, obviously, studies have been deprioritized. Some have been prioritized for very specific reasons. I think we need to focus on what the unmet needs are for the patients rather than figuring out what reimbursement is going to look like and how much we can bill healthcare insurance for.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a wrap. Like patient in the center, patient centricity, patient care is what we need instead of focusing on trends. Absolutely.
And
And
I was going to say one other thing just popped in my mind as well. And, again, probably shameless plug. Don't care. We've got to meet patients where they are. I understand that Los Angeles has, a large amount of people, Chicago, New York. I get that. But I do feel that areas outside of the large city are neglected. We need to meet the patients where they are. A psoriasis patient isn't walking into a hospital every single day, but at standard of care, they're probably talking to their community physician a lot. So attracting
yeah.
someone to a clinical study at your physician is going to be a much higher reward than doing it at a large hospital system. So meet the
Oh,
patients where
yeah.
they are, I'd say.
Yeah, and they are more comfortable there, and people trust where they are comfortable. So
You keep
yes.
hearing trust come from me. You're going to get that a lot from us.
I bet, yes. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure and so much fun. I'm sorry we need to come to an end. I can spend hours talking to you, and I know we have and we will. But
We'll
before
meet
we
at the next
go,
conference.
yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience? Any recommendations, invitations? Where can they find you if they want to follow up with this conversation in person?
Where can they find us? FOMAT has a large branding presence. So I would encourage you to, I have a hard time believing anyone is not on LinkedIn in our space, but please join our group on LinkedIn. We post multiple times a week, whether it's the inclusion of a new physician that's joined our group, whether it's a new study, whether one of our physicians have become a top enroller, which, shameless plug, our cardiologist on one study is the top enroller in the nation at the moment. Even fun things, our Ecuador office had some really cool posts on there for social media. I would encourage, if you want a good laugh, please go there. I'd encourage that. So we're on LinkedIn. We're very active in the conference circuit. Obviously, you know where I'm at right now at SCRS. It's my favorite conference of the year. I love this. But I wanted to absolutely just step out for a second to talk to you guys about, these important
Thank
topics.
you.
We do a lot of therapeutically aligned conferences. So if you happen to be on the operations side or you're in site engagement, or whether you're a chief medical officer at a small sponsor, some of our upcoming conferences, I'm trying to think, AAO, ACG, Obesity Week, Liver Week, and AHA. I think are going to round out our conferences for the rest of the year. SCRS, where we are right now, will really be what we classify as our last agnostic conference. But SCRS really does a great job of showcasing the talents of so many different sites. We love coming here. We have a massive presence here. It's absolutely amazing. Let's see, where else? Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Good. Good.
Connect with all of us on LinkedIn. We also have Facebook pages, which our branding manager runs. If for whatever reason a patient or someone that would like to join a clinical study is reviewing this, you can do that by going on our website. We have a patient page as well, and you can find us on LinkedIn as well. But I have to imagine that a lot of industry professionals are going to be watching this.
Yes. Yes.
We're always, and hey, listen, anytime you want to run, call me up. Happy to run a 5K with you.
Good, good, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for taking the time to talk to us, for your insights and everything. And to our audience, this Life Sciences in Focus podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other leading platforms, as well as YouTube if you prefer to watch us. So please make sure to tune again next month for Vistatec Life Sciences in Focus, fascinating conversations with global life sciences experts. Bye.
Thanks, Maria. Thank you.